As the smoke billowed into the Pacific sky, the full weight of the assault began to sink in for the Japanese fleet. Below, the once proud carriers of the Imperial Navy, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu, were now burning wrecks. The heavy bombers, which the Japanese had dismissed with mocking arrogance, were proving to be far more dangerous than anticipated. The fleet, organized and confident moments before, was now caught in a chaotic struggle for survival. Lieutenant Smith and his crew, still circling above, were unaware of the full extent of their strike's success. They had completed their mission, and their bombers' massive engines carried them back toward Midway, their minds already moving to the next step of the campaign. But as they looked back over the burning ships below, a sense of grim satisfaction settled in. They had struck at the heart of the Japanese naval power, and they had done it with an aircraft that many had once called obsolete. On the Japanese side, confusion and panic were now the prevailing emotions. Vice Admiral Nagumo, the commander of the Kido Butai, Japan's elite carrier strike force, was in disbelief. He had prepared for a decisive victory over the American forces, expecting the United States Navy to crumble under the might of Japan's superior fleet. Instead, his flagship, the Akagi, was on fire, and the other carriers were also taking heavy damage. Nagumo had underestimated the power of American air raids and failed to foresee the effectiveness of the B-17 flying fortress. The Japanese pilots, trained to deal with faster, more agile threats, were thrown into a desperate battle against an enemy they hadn't expected. The Zeros, brilliant machines of war in their own right, were not designed to take on bombers with such heavy armament and payload. They had been expecting a conventional air battle, one in which their maneuverability would easily outpace the lumbering B-17s. Instead, the bomber's resilience and its ability to bring devastating firepower to bear were changing the game entirely. In the skies above Midway, a dramatic realization was unfolding. The B-17 was not the obsolete, outdated aircraft the Japanese had imagined. It had proven itself as an effective tool of war, capable of bringing about the very destruction that Japanese commanders feared. But while the Japanese fleet scrambled to recover from the shock, the Allies were just getting started. The B-17s had only delivered the first wave of strikes, but they had done more than just damage. They had shattered the myth of Japanese invincibility. As the Japanese fleet struggled to mount a response, the full weight of the day's events began to unfold. The battle for Midway was far from over, but the Allied forces had already gained an undeniable advantage. The Japanese, who had so confidently looked down on the American bomber, now found themselves in the midst of a catastrophe. The bombers had not only struck a decisive blow against the Japanese carriers, they had struck a blow against the very foundation of Japanese naval superiority. The B-17s had not been mere distractions. They were a symbol of what was to come, a turning point in the Pacific War. But while the Japanese scrambled to assess the damage, they could not have known that the worst was yet to come. The B-17s had delivered the first devastating blow, but the skies above Midway were about to witness more destruction. The battle was about to intensify, and the B-17 flying fortress was proving itself to be a force that would forever change the course of the war.